a child of God. You can believe all you want to. That won't change you just believing. There has to be an experience to go with that. But remember, Paul said in Romans 10, whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. For with the mouth man confesses his sins, with the heart he believes unto righteousness. So there has to be a change for you to become a part of the new covenant. And the new covenant was based upon grace. Grace, the law came by Moses, but grace, John 1, is that the Gospel of John or 1 John? The law came by Moses, but grace and truth came by Jesus Christ. So here now, we want to go a little further. Now let me get further into what I'm in Isaiah, the 24th chapter. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Behold, verse 1, chapter 24. Behold, the Lord maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. Verse 6, therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. Now that's a prophecy that's going to be fulfilled, because you say, going to be, Brother Marlow? How do you know it hasn't been? Find a history book that tells me where this complete destruction, and I've got a book over at the house that lists all the great destruction of the earth going back into the centuries, but not one of them describes this. Not one of them describes this. It describes great floods, it describes great fires, it describes great diseases that swept the earth, plagues, but nothing that describes it, as Isaiah said, the Lord maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. Brother, we haven't seen anything like that. Not in our history, not in our day. So it's prophecy to be fulfilled. If you haven't seen it, if there's no history of it, if you can't find a record of it, then it's prophecy to be fulfilled. Now, as I said, don't let fear get in your heart when you read these. Now look at verse 3. The land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for the Lord has spoken the word. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Now, this covenant is everlasting that they have broken. It's grace. They have broken the covenant of grace, because grace will extend to the covenant of the kingdom. The next covenant that God will make with man, because the first two will have been broken. As Moses broke the tablets of the law when he came down from the mountain. Why did he break them? Because of the sin. The sin was so great of the children of Israel. They were in orgies, indescribable here for your ears. They were making idols. They made the golden calf. And Moses, in disgust and anger, threw the tablets down where the finger of God had written, inscribed the law, the commandments, and broke them. Did you know that that's what God is going to do in his anger toward the earth? Because they have broken his covenant, his everlasting covenant. And they think they're getting by with it. Just like the children of Israel, they were dancing, laughing, they were drinking. The children of Israel sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play, the scripture said, and they think they're getting away with it. Because it's prosperous, doesn't it look prosperous? Drive through our America right now. Drive through our subdivisions. Drive through our, down on the quay here, and down across our beautiful beach, and look at the mansions that are selling for $9 million, $20 million, $12 million. It looks beautiful because the earth, Lord has allowed it to be beautiful. He made the earth beautiful in his time. But see, the judgment is coming. Brother Marlow, maybe that's already happened. If it's happened, tell me where. Tell me when. Get me some information on it. So the judgment of God, where the Lord makes the earth empty, and if the covenant is broken, there's going to have to be another covenant. And let's go to Jeremiah. If we can pick this up in Jeremiah 33, where I believe I'm right in that, where the Lord makes the new covenant, writes it upon the tablets of their heart. Where he writes the new covenant and down, and he gives them a new heart, a new spirit. Is it 33? Do I have it right, or have I missed it on that? Is that it?
I think it's 20. I see 21 and 31. Is that what you're talking about?
I still don't see the exact verse I'm looking for, but it could be. Maybe I'm looking into Ezekiel.
Is it 32 and 40?
What is it?
32 and 40 of Jeremiah?
32.
In verse 40?
Verse 40, yeah.
And I will make an everlasting covenant.
That's it. Thank you, Sharon. Yes, in verse 40 of 32. Jeremiah, sorry, I misled you in 30, but there are some verses 33. I want to just pick up with this, but look at verse 39. He said, and I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever, for the good of them. The Lord wants to do good to us. It's for the good. The wrath we're reading in Isaiah is for the judgment. But this is for the good. Because he will reward people that live righteously and godly and live holy. He doesn't reward them with wrath. They're rewarded with good. And he gives this for the good of them and of their children after them. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them. And I will not turn away from them to do them good. But I will put my fear or my respect in their hearts. And they shall not depart from me. And they shall not depart from me. Look over in verse chapter 33, and here is a verse in verse 15. Well, verse 14, also of 33. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will perform that good thing which I have promised unto the house of Israel and to the house of Judah. In those days, now that's Israel, that's the restoring of Israel that you read about in Revelation 7, the 12 tribes of Israel. He will do them good, he will restore them. Now, in those days and at that time, will I cause the branch of righteousness to grow up unto David, and he shall execute judgment and righteousness in the land. The branch is Christ. The branch is Christ. And he's going to raise up Christ as David. That's David, their king, spoken of in Hosea, that will be restored to them and brought back to them in the symbolic figure of David. But he, Christ, will rule with authority, and he will rule with his law and his authority that he has. There's still another verse, but I'm not getting it, but I'll look it up, where he writes the law upon the tables of their heart. And it could be that may be over in Ezekiel, but I don't have time now to get on. I'll distract you from where we're going. But that's sufficient, those scriptures that I gave, to show that God is going to bring a branch of righteousness, and he's going to bring judgment and execute judgment and righteousness in the land through the 1,000 years.
I think it's 32, Brother Marlow, and verse 33. I think that's what you're talking about.
Verse 33.
I think.
Let me see. It could be, brother. I'm just not finding it. Verse 33.
I mean 31 and 33. I'm sorry, 31 and 33.
Not in. Are you in Jeremiah 32? Or
yes, I'm in Jeremiah 31 and 33. I'm sorry.
Well, yes, 31. That's it. Thank you, Brother Bill. 31. We'll get it right here. 31. Well, we thank God for the other two because that's very essential. But in verse 33 of Jeremiah 31, that's really the verse, the key verse. But they, in verse 33, but this shall be the covenant. That's what I wanted. But this shall be the covenant. So now we have the law covenant broken, the Adamic law covenant broken. Now we have the grace covenant broken by man and his sins. So he's making another covenant, the third covenant. God makes basically with his humanity 4 covenants in the scripture, stretching over 7,000 years. And then he adds an 8th day. There's 7 creative days, but there's another day. Do you realize there's another day besides the 7th day?
Amen. Amen.
In the scriptures, there is an 8th day. Moses introduced it to Israel. He didn't call it the 7th day. He didn't call it the 1st day. He didn't call it the 6th day. But he said, bring your male child on the 8th day and let them be circumcised. That's the mind of God. That's that great mind of God that God used Moses to institute the prophecy that would be fulfilled in Revelations 20, in the 20th chapter of Revelations. The 8th day will come into existence. That is the circumcision day.
8 souls on the ark.
And there were 8 souls in the ark. That's a circumcision number in which God is going to circumcise the earth again, cut the foreskin of it, and bring about a circumcised sonship in the earth, just like he brought about a circumcised sonship in Israel. Philistines didn't practice that. The Amalekites didn't practice that. That was given to Moses. That was given. The law of circumcision was given to Moses, and he introduced it. And he said it will be on the 8th day. But I thought there was only 7 days. There was 7 creative days. But God instituted the 8th day for circumcision. When you read Revelation 20, and the 7th day is ended, and it's over with, the millennium is through, 7,000 years are through, 6 for man to rule, 1,000 years for Christ, and the 1,000-year day is past. Then, at that time, Satan will exercise himself again. He'll be released from the bottomless pit, which is simply the underpinning of Satan is total darkness without end. Bottomless pit. Satan's confinement is in darkness without end until Christ ends it in Revelation 20 in the lake of fire. That's where death is ended. That's where Satan is ended.